So, I don't know, I was maybe 6, 7 years old, and I'm visiting my grandparents. My grandfather was kind of I gotta do it all my own stuff. I gotta fix my own stuff. And he's giving me lectures like a grandfather does to a kid. And he says, you know what's important to know as we're doing this project in his garage. I can't even remember what it was, but I can remember he said, you gotta always make sure you got the right tool for the job. Hear me, son? You need the right tool for the job. And he looks around, grabs an adjustable wrench, and he proceeds to pound like crazy on a nail. I looked a little confused, and he said, my next lesson I'm gonna teach you, do as I say, not as I do. He's a bit of a nut, and I think that's probably where I picked up a little bit of my disaster Dave from, but I'll just leave it at that. But we're here to talk about Hive tools. The right job, the right tool for the job. That's what I mean to say, the right tool for the job. So let's talk about Hive tools. Not this tool. Hive tools. They've been around for a long, long time. I didn't do the research because what do you care? You know, the Hive tools have been around. And for years and years and years, I believe that this was the Hive tool that was the most common. You go back, you see these. It makes sense. It's a tool that just does a lot of what you need to have done. It's got a scraper on the end. It's a pry bar. I use it to pry things apart. It's great for scraping. It does that. You can scrape this way too if you need to. It's great for separating frames. It does everything you kind of need it to do, sort of. For a lot of people, this is the tool that they will use and will use it forever and ever because it's got that much flexibility in it. There's one thing that I think throws people for a loop, and that's this, can't see me through there. That's this little notched out here. Everything you ever read will tell you that this is a nail puller. So you could put a nail in there and pull it out, right? See the notch at the top, just like a claw hammer. I don't know, for all the years I've been going into hives, I've never had the need to pull a nail out of anything, but I have had the need to hang a hive tool in places. So even though this is considered a nail puller, I don't know, it's a great way to drive a nail into the side of a board of your hive stand and hang a tool there. And you just leave it and always have a tool handy. I don't know, nail puller? I don't know. If you've ever used it as a nail puller, leave it in the comments because I'm really curious. I hang them up. So this is the basics of basic hive tools. Sharp does what you need it to do, but there's a cool thing that can happen that I found is essential for me. And that essential, well, it's kind of the next step up in a way. It's sort of a flat hive tool. And that basically is taking away the bend, but it's adding this J hook on the bottom. See this really cool thing here? The J hook to me is indispensable. Here's what a J hook does. A J hook gives me the ability to go into a box and lift frames up. That is critically important. This will do that, but it tends to be a little more awkward because it doesn't always fit in between the way you want it to. You can go sideways and it will work. I used this for years before I ever went to a J hook. It's just not as easy and handy as this J hook that allows you to get in between the hives and pull it up. And if you see, it's got this little fulcrum right here that, and it's kind of hard to see, but that fulcrum will then latch onto the edge of the hives, or edge of the hive. It'll latch onto the edge of the frame in front of it and gives you a fulcrum point to pull it up. That's really, really handy. A lot of people like this type because it's very flat, very easy to stuff into a pocket. So it has a lot of useful purposes. It's got all the sharp edges on it. It's got the ability to scrape, and it's got the ability to pry apart. So this could be a really handy tool for people. So that's something else to think about when you're deciding what you want in a hive tool. So that's another option for you. If you take these two, you sort of leave them inside your toolbox for a long, long time, sooner or later they're going to get together. One thing leads to another, and then you take these two that have been together for a long time and you sort of come up with this tool. And this has the qualities of both of these combined together. And I gotta tell you, this is my absolute go-to. In fact, I buy these by the gross. It's because see how these are painted red? When you drop them on the ground, you can see them. These are not painted. Well, Dave, why don't you just paint it up? Because procrastination Dave says he's always gonna dip it in yellow paint or bright pink paint or something I can see it in. I bought this probably 3 years ago, and you can see where that's gone. So, but I've got my son's metal detector. A fun thing I do at the end of the year is I go through all my bee yards and I collect all these back up, the ones I can't find. So I know that is not good beekeeping. That's PPB, piss poor beekeeping, dipped on in big quantities. Anyway, I got to go all the way back to the beginning of this. This is actually my first Hive tool, and it was given to me by my son, Evan. I don't remember if he gave it to me for my birthday, which is in October, or if he gave it to me as a Christmas present. I don't think so. It seemed like it was earlier than that, or if it was like a Father's Day gift. Evan, do you remember when it was? But anyway, so I've had this Hive tool for 10 years. I don't use it as much, but it never, ever leaves my toolkit. It will always stay with me. It's an extra tool if I need it, but more than anything, it's a sentimental thing. I like to hang on to it. Okay, so Hive tool that does everything this does and adds the J hook to it. And it has a larger fulcrum point. So when I'm pulling frames out, I've got a huge fulcrum point on this side to give me leverage to pull things out. If there is a negative to this, it's that you gotta really watch out because it's real easy to squish bees. So, and you hear that crunch, you know, that crunch is not good. Okay, but that's an advantage that this has. It just has the small, can you see that really small little hook on the end right there, right there? You're simply pulling up with just a small point, so you're really not hitting the bees as much. So that's an advantage. It's up to you to think about. So I like these. I never go into the field without two. And here's the reason for that. When, obviously this box is a little not realistic because we are not in the field. But what I like about this is if I have two, I can pull up at the same time. And when I can pull up at the same time, I can grab my frames and I can examine them. Or I can just see what's going on. Whether this is a deep, then anyway. But I like having two because I have the ability to get in and pull them up at the same time and get my fingers underneath and do my thing. So that is the great thing about the J hook is its ability to pull those frames up. That's the combo of the two. Then you come up with this bad boy. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Mambo tool. It does it all. There was one of these left over from some previous beekeeper way, way early on at the garden club where I take care of hives. And I looked at that thing and I went, that's insane. And I just would keep setting it aside, Actually use it out there and a little bit more than I thought I actually would. It is about as multi-tool as you can get. Here's the difference. It weighs probably 3 times as much as this. So it's a heavy tool to be working with, but it's got lots of really cool functions. And the more I use it, the more I'm kind of liking it. So, and when I bought this, I actually got 2, and now I realize I could probably use 2, but I'm gonna need to find a way to attach these. I can't really put this in a pocket. It's too big, it's clumsy, and it's heavy, but man alive, it is the Swiss Army knives of Hive tools. It's got the obligatory nail pull that no one's using, but it's a great place to hang things up. It has all the sharp edges of flat, so you've got all the scraping and all the scraping, whichever way you want to do that. It has this, and it's supposed to be a frame scraper, and I've tried every which way to figure out. Now, it does fit across the top of a frame, but I'm not so sure why it's got the little knob in between. So if you have one of these and you figured out how it all works and fits, let me know. It does space. I wonder if that would space. I don't know. Anyway, so it's got the little knob there. Figure that out for me, would you please? Okay, so you got that side. Now we flip it over, and this is a really cool thing that I've discovered that I like a lot with this. The J hook on this, it's kind of hard to see, but if you get close, see it's got like the little notches in it. That's really handy because what it does is when I get into a frame, what it does is it grips the frame. Now, rarely have I had an issue where on these that don't have that, it slips out, but it absolutely grips it. There's no chance that it's going to get loose on me. So I like that. It does have the scrape bar in the front, or I consider this a pry bar because you need to pry frames apart because bees are going to propolize. So it's got that on it as well. It has a queen excluder cleaner is the best way to put it. Kind of hard to see, so I can show it to you there. See. So what that basically does, and I probably use this more for queen excluders than I use this more for cleaning queen excluders than anything else. So it makes easy work of getting all the gunk off of queen excluders. If you don't use queen excluders, well then, I don't know, maybe it's a saw. I wouldn't do that. Anyway, so then like, what's this knob? Well, the knob is a pretty interesting thing. It does a couple of important things. One thing it does, if you're in the field, this thing works really great as a hammer. So if you need to hammer some nails back in, I get nail pops, which I wouldn't think I do because of the way I glue everything down, but I get nail pops. So it's nice to be able to nail those down. Here's a handy hint. When you do nail them down, make sure you got everything else covered off because bees get really ticked off when you do that. Just saying. Another handy thing that this does is if you have several frames out, especially if you're examining deep frames, if you have several frames out of the hive and you want to be able to get in and pull out the next frame in, this acts as a great little fulcrum point. So you can put this up against the side and the little knob will sit on the side corner here and you can pull up. So that's a really handy little part of this. Now I don't know if that was designed for that or not. If it was, great. If not, well, I think we've all discovered that that's just a great little way to be able to make that all happen. So this is a really handy little tool. So that's basically the four different tools that are most common in beekeeping in our area, in the United States. I recognize that in other countries, you have different tools. A lot of them are variations of these tools, but these are the four most common that you're going to see in catalogs online or with anybody. I say, because they're relatively inexpensive, especially take this one out. I can't remember what I paid for this. It wasn't a crazy amount. It was under 20 bucks and I got two. I think, I don't know, I have to look. Anyway, I'm going to put a link to it down below in the description. It wasn't crazy expensive. These I buy by the gross. I don't know, and they're less than 10 bucks a piece. Someday I'm going to paint them. Someday. You can buy lots of them. I leave them on purpose in bee yards just because I know I'm going to need them there. I've always got a hive tool somewhere in reach because they're inexpensive enough that I can do that. I'm just putting a nail into a board of a hive stand and just hanging the tools. So there's always one there. So here's my suggestion. Buy one of each if you can, or these seem to be tools that are given away a lot. This one I got from our local St. Clair Beekeepers Association in 2017. It was our 100th anniversary. Pretty cool. That's a beekeeping organization, 100 years old here in Southwest Illinois. So, you know, and they're engraved and that's super cool. I think actually I have another one here from my buddy Terry Chapman. Same exact thing. I either got this because I bought something from him. I got this because he just said, hey, Dave, here, take this hive tool. So a lot of times you might even get those for free, but buy one of each. Try it. See which one works best for you. You'll get used to it, and then they become truly like a second hand for you. When I pull these up, my hands go under. That is just the most natural thing for me to do. It's muscle memory, and these really become an extension of my hand. Find a tool that works for you. Find the right tool for the job. That's what I have to say about that. Anyway, so, hey, thanks for watching. As always, it's nice to be liked, so if you don't mind, hit that button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It's so appreciated. And as I always say, and I mean it, happy beekeeping, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.